Hey everybody, what's going on? Fallout here. Welcome to another YouTube video. This one might be a quasi long one. We're now in the full swing of the Witch Queen and we have a bunch of new gear, just a ton of new weapons that I'm trying to farm and grind out. And I've been getting hit up on Twitch a lot with requests from people asking me, what weapon perks are you looking for on the new guns in the Witch Queen? And where can I even get the new guns that are available in the Witch Queen? So I thought it might be a good idea today to go through literally every new weapon that has been added to the game in the Witch Queen and let you know what perks are interesting to me, what perks I'm going to be looking for when I chase down my initial I would like to use this role, and of course, where can you get these guns exactly? All right, why don't we start off with all the weapons that you can get in the Vanguard playlist, starting with the Duty Bound Kinetic Auto Rifle. I believe Duty Bound is a weapon that you can get by doing Nightfalls. There is a regular and an adept version of the Duty Bound, and it comes with really interesting perks. It has the two new origin traits. It has Stunning Recovery and Vanguard's Vindication, both which look like they're going to do fairly well for a PvE weapon. Now, if you're a PvP player, you could bring Duty Bound into PvP. I'm not really thrilled about bringing auto rifles into PvP, even though Duty Bound does seem to come with some pretty good perks. We're not currently in an auto rifle meta right now. So I think, especially with the origin traits going on, that Duty Bound was meant to be a PvE weapon. Some of the perks that you could look out for, there's a lot of really interesting ones. You have One for All, which is just a tried and true, very good perk for PvE. You can get a lot of damage up right away. Also comes with Frenzy, another fantastic perk for PvE. Just be in combat for a while. You get that free 15% damage buff. Vorpal weapon, also not bad, especially now that it is buffed on primary weapons. Extra 20% damage with a primary weapon for Vorpal when you're shooting a boss or whatnot. I think the perk combo, though, that I'm most interested in and that a lot of people are looking for is Triple Tap and 4th times the Charm. Yeah, you heard that right. You can actually get the auto rifle to drop with both Triple Tap and 4th times the Charm on the same roll, meaning that, wow, you could just, if you get a bunch of headshots with this gun in PvE, you could just get a ton of ammo back, shoot for a really long time without needing to reload. Now, for a lot of people, that sounds like a ton of fun. For some people, you might think it would be overkill, but I really think it's an interesting looking roll. Again, the only other combo I might really be interested in would be maybe Triple Tap One for All, Triple Tap Frenzy, something with a damage perk buff, but you know, Triple Tap 4th times the Charm, looking very fun. Duty Bound looking like a rock solid weapon pick for PvE activity. Okay, next weapon we're going to take a look at is the Silicon Neuroma, which is a kinetic sniper rifle with very high impact. It is an ag frame sniper, and again, like the Duty Bound, you can get it in the Vanguard playlist. I believe you can get it in the Nightfall because you have a regular version and you have an adept version as well. If you're interested in taking the Neuroma into PvP, I think you would be fine to do that. You have the option to have it drop with both Snapshot and Opening Shot, which are tried and true perks in PvP that no sniper main is going to tell you you shouldn't be using. However, even with that nice perk combination, I think that the majority of people are looking for a Silicon Neuroma to drop with the very hardy tested perk combo of Triple Tap and Firing Line. Those two together are a terrific combo in PvE. High-end PvE content, not to mention that you have, you know, Vanguard's Vindication and you have Stunning Recovery. I think the Neuroma was just built to be a PvE sniper rifle, and I will 100% be looking for the Triple Tap Firing Line combo. Great for dungeon activity or raid bosses. If there's any boss in the new upcoming Witch Queen raid that you need to attack from very long range, Triple Tap Firing Line, especially on an ag frame sniper, is really terrific for PvE. That is what I will be looking for. The third and final Vanguard playlist weapon that we're going to be talking about is the Fortissimo Slug Shotgun. Now, unlike the other two weapons, the Fortissimo is not a Nightfall weapon. It does not have an adept version. You can get it by grinding out the strikes playlist if you want. And you might need to be doing a lot of grinding because the Fortissimo has a huge perk pool. 12 perks overall in column 3 and column 4. Now, unlike the other two weapons that we've talked about already, I think the Fortissimo was built to be very versatile. I think you can take it into PvE or PvP. So for PvE, we have the Vanguard Vindication origin trait, which again is very nice to have for PvE, but it also comes with the Suros Synergy origin trait, which reduces incoming flinch after reloading your weapon. And that alone, to me, is a really exciting opportunity to bring the shotgun into PvP. I mean, just think about it. Using a slug shotgun in PvP with base reduced flinch, like I'm all over it. So really quickly for PvP, just looking over the perk pool here, there's just a ton of options that would probably work well. You have Surplus, you have Perpetual Motion, you have Moving Target, you have Opening Shot, which is fantastic on slug shotguns. You have Elemental Capacitor, which is especially terrific if you are Arc or Stasis in PvP. I think Arc and Stasis, especially on a shotgun, would do the best with Elemental Capacitor in PvP. You have Threat Detector, and you have Wellspring or even Vorpal Weapon. There's also the new Steady Hands perk, where you get an improved amount of handling for all weapons for a short duration after getting a kill. If we're looking for a PvP role on the Fortissimo, though, I would probably much rather be looking for Threat Detector in column 3, because you get the extra handling every time an enemy is in close proximity to you, where if you're using a shotgun, yeah, pretty much every time you're going in to get a kill, Threat Detector should, in theory, activate for you. Moving Target or Opening Shot would probably be the play for me if I wanted a PvP role on the Fortissimo. I would say Threat Detector and Moving Target, or Threat Detector Opening Shot, would be my desired PvP role. For PvE, I mean, you got a bunch of great stuff here too. You got Lead from Gold. Frenzy is always fantastic. Again, Surplus would be fine, even Outlaw or Subsistence. I would say that maybe for me, Subsistence Frenzy or Lead from Gold Frenzy would probably be the way to go. You could also go for, again, Surrounded or Vorpal Weapon if you want something to really punch a big hole in mini bosses, whatever. Vorpal would be the play, but yeah. I think if you want a boss shredder, maybe Lead from Gold, and if you want a low-level ad shredder, maybe Subsistence. Next up, we have kind of a Vanguard weapon, but to be more specific, it is a ritual weapon, meaning that if you want to get this weapon, which is the Reckless Endangerment Kinetic Shotgun, all you need to do is hit rank 16 in either Crucible, Gambit, or the Vanguard reputation system. All you got to do is hit rank 16 in whatever you enjoy the most, and you can get the Reckless Endangerment. So the shotgun is a lightweight frame, kinetic, and like all ritual weapons, it has a carved in stone roll with certain perks that you can't really change. The weapon does have 3 origin traits though, which I find interesting. One of them being Gambit. I mean, I guess 3 origin traits for each activity: PvE, PvP, and Gambit. I think with the perk options that we have here, I think it's really straightforward with what you should use. I think if you're going to bring the endangerment into PvP, you are just going to use Snapshot. And if you're going to use it in either Gambit or PvE, you're going to use Swashbuckler. No real complicated build crafting here with the gun, and it has perks that are set in stone. So whatever perks you enjoy using on it with that little combination of 4 in column 3 and column 4, you go for it. And good luck hitting rank 16. It should be a very easy weapon for you to acquire. Okay, next, why don't we move on to Gambit weapons, which they're outside of the Reckless Endangerment, technically. There is only one, which is the Herod C auto rifle. It is a stasis kinetic auto rifle. So if you're into kinetic weapons and you're looking for a new stasis primary, kind of like the Ice Luna, except in auto rifle form, you should go after the Herod C by grinding a bunch of Gambit. Just like the Fortissimo, the Herod C has just a buttload of weapon perks available, 12 perks in column 3 and column 4. So there's a lot to pick from. I personally would probably not bring this weapon into PvP. Again, I don't think we're in an auto rifle meta right now, so I don't know how well this would do. There are really good perk options available to use if you wanted to play with this weapon in PvP. But again, I think I'm going to go for a PvE role, and I got really lucky because one of the perk combos I was looking for, Subsistence and One for All, I managed to get week 1. The more I look at it, there's actually a lot of perk combinations that will work for the Herod C in PvE. There's just a lot of very valuable perks here. You have 4th times the charm, you have auto loading holster, you have Subsistence, you have you have the new perk Focused Fury, where if you deal half the magazine as precision damage, you will get weapon bonus damage. One role I'm actually looking for is Focused Fury paired together with Subsistence, because you lose the extra damage from Fury whenever you stow the weapon or reload, but you are putting off reloading by combining it together with a weapon perk like Subsistence. So that might be a really fun pairing that you should look out for. One for All, Multi-Kill Clip, and Frenzy and Vorpal Weapon are all classic damage dealers for PvE. I think there are a lot of PvE combos here that you really can't go wrong with. If you're an auto rifle user in PvP, as I mentioned before, you might have a hard time, but if you have a really interesting stasis build for PvP, Headstone is obviously worth a pick. I would say actually for PvP or for PvE. Headstone would be an interesting pick if you have a stasis build that you are fond of, which involves either being near a crystal or breaking a crystal. Headstone very naturally will do well for your build. So try to grind that out in Gambit if that sounds good to you. All right, next up, why don't we talk about a PvP specific weapon drop, which is the Crisis Inverted Hand Cannon. I think that this has one of the worst visual designs on a hand cannon I've ever seen, but the perks and the numbers are actually quite good. So if you're looking for a new hand cannon to have fun with, especially in PvP, I would strongly recommend that you try to go grab the Crisis Inverted by grinding out Crucible. It's a 140 RPM hand cannon, which is nice, and there are just a ton of perks to pick from in both Column 3 and Column 4, many of which would do okay. In PvE, I kind of was hoping that there'd be a little bit of a smaller perk pool, but again, these weapons that you can get from just being a random drop in the playlist, they're usually swarmed with just these gigantic perk pools. But why don't we talk about perks that you should look out for on this new hand cannon, which will do well in PvP. And there's a good amount. You have Outlaw, Opening Shot. You've got Elemental Capacitor. You've got Harmony. You've got Vorpal Weapon. You've got Demo. You've got Adrenaline Junkie, Heating Up, Tunnel Vision, Rapid Hit, Moving Target. You've got Rangefinder, Snapshot. You've got Kill Clip. Yeah, there's a lot of perks that are going to work here. I think for me, and this might be a really basic pumpkin spice latte combo, but I'm probably looking for Rapid Hit, Moving Target, one of those two in Column 3, and either Opening Shot, Elemental, Rangefinder, Snapshot, or Kill Clip in Column 4. I know, like, out of all the perks, just narrowing it down to those seems very boring, but they are tried and true in PvP. I think especially if you are a Void player or if you are a Stasis player, you should totally be looking for Elemental Capacitor in Column 4, either getting the extra stability or the better ADS movement speed and the better recoil direction for your hand cannon would probably be the play. I know a lot of people like lull stability on hand cannons. It does make a big difference. Speaking of that, you actually have the origin trait Omolon Fluid Dynamics, which gives you better reload and better stability for the top half of the magazine, which is great. So if you have a fully reloaded magazine, as long as you're above 5 shots in the mag, you've got really cracked stability right out the gate for dueling people in PvP, which I think is fantastic. So if that sounds good to you, and it definitely sounds good to me, go grind PvP and get a Crisis Inverted Hand Cannon. Alrighty, now we have some weapons from the Wellspring, the new activity in the Witch Queen. And if you're wondering, the weapon rotation is going to be auto rifle, grenade launcher, bow, and sniper, alternating every day. First weapon we're going to take a look at from the Wellspring is the Fel Taradiddle, which is a kinetic bow. And it is craftable, by the way. All 4 of the Wellspring weapons are all craftable, which I guess is nice because if you're trying to track down a particular role, eventually you'll be able to get whatever role you're looking for because they are craftable. I kind of have a little bit of a problem with bows right now that are not exotic. I love the Monarch and the Trinity Ghoul and the Tiku's Divination. Those are all really fun. So for me, finding a legendary bow to work in either, especially in PvE, but also in PvP, is a real challenge. The Fel Taradiddle can roll with Cornered, which I think is kind of really weird. Didn't expect to see that perk on a bow, but it can drop there. It can also drop other good bow perks, including Explosive Head, which is really nice. You've got Archer's Tempo, everybody's favorite. You can get the new Stats for All, which is interesting, but I don't think I would really go for that role. I do think that Successful Warm-Up might be worth a look, though. If this bow feels good to you, if you enjoy using it, I would try to maybe get one with Successful Warm-Up, because then you could shoot more arrows more quickly, and I think that would be a solid perk for that weapon. Okay, moving on, we have the Come to Pass Auto Rifle, which again, also you can get from grinding out Wellspring, depending on the day, and And we're looking at an Arc Energy auto rifle here with a high impact frame. So slow rate of fire and very good damage overall. Again, for PvP, I'm not really thrilled about bringing auto rifles into PvP, so I probably won't be doing that, but I do think that the Come to Pass has good roles for PvE. In column 3, you've got Genesis and you've got Triple Tap, both which are fine. I think that Triple Tap is going to be a rock solid pairing if in column 4 you put it together with Dragonfly. That sounds like a really fun PvE kind of trash shredding rifle for sure. Definitely don't forget though that the Come to Pass also has the new perk Adaptive Munitions, which is kind of interesting. So if you're fighting an enemy and their shield type is different than Arc, because the Come to Pass is Arc, then your gun is going to be more effective on damaging an enemy shield that it is not matched up with. So kind of not as good as Arby or Arbalist, I would assume, but the Come to Pass would definitely do a good job at breaking shields on any energy shield. Probably not as good as something like the Arbalist, and probably also not as good as something like the Hardlight, but again, having that Adaptive Munitions perk to help improve your damage output on a non-matching shield sounds pretty good for PvE to me. You've got that new perk Turnabout too, which also sounds nice, but I don't think I would like that as much as probably Adaptive Munitions. Overall, I think the roles that I would be looking for the most would be Triple Tap in column 3 or Genesis in column 3, and either Dragonfly or Adaptive Munitions or One for All in column 4. Moving right along, we have our third Wellspring weapon, again also craftable, is the Father's Sins Energy Sniper Rifle, and I am kind of excited to talk to you about this one because the sniper rifle has a 35 zoom. If you are not in the know, and you don't know why, I'm happy about that. Snipers with low zoom are usually far more desirable in PvP. Usually. Like 9 times out of 10, people who snipe in PvP prefer to use a sniper with a very low zoom. And 35 is pretty damn low. For those of you with a really good memory, I had a struggle back in the day trying to acquire another very popular sniper with a 35 zoom, the Twilight Oath, the curated Twilight Oath. But now we have Father's Sins with a identical zoom and some pretty interesting perks. So I'm going to go ahead and craft one of these bad boys in the future and never think about the curated Twilight Oath ever again. You can use this bad boy in PvE, but I think this is probably a more PvP focused rifle. I mean, you can roll Triple Tap, so if you really wanted to, you could bring it into PvE and get good damage done on a boss or whatever, but I think that there are probably way better snipers for big-time PvE damage dealing, especially because we're looking at a rapid-fire frame here, boys, so not a lot of damage output to begin with. So I'm going to be looking for perks that will help me in PvP. In column 4, kind of a no-brainer for me, I'm going to go probably with Snapshot. Now, Opening Shot is also worth a look. The handling stat by default on the Father's Sins is 69. Nice in the chat. And that's pretty good, although I still do feel like Snapshot is borderline kind of a mandatory perk for sniper rifles in PvP. I would still be happy with Opening Shot in column 4 though. In column 3, I think most people are right away going to go for No Distractions, which is great for a PvP sniper role, but I really strongly encourage you to not sleep on Under Pressure. Under Pressure gives you a better accuracy buff when you are below half remaining in your mag, and because the Father's Sins has a mag size of 5, and when in PvP you spawn in with 2 in the mag, that means that in theory, with a sniper rifle with Under Pressure, every time you spawn in with ammo and PvP in your gun, Under Pressure will be active, meaning that for most of a PvP match, you're going to have an extra accuracy buff for free on your sniper rifle. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I'm probably going to craft one with both No Distractions and Under Pressure to see which I like more, Opening Shot and Snapshot in column 4, and call it a day. Okay, next up we have the Tarnation grenade launcher, which is Arc. It is a powerful weapon grenade launcher, not a single shot grenade launcher. Again, you can get it from Wellspring every 4th day. I think if you want to use the Tarnation in PvP, that's fine. It's a power weapon, so you're not going to be able to use it that much in PvP. I feel like the perks wouldn't matter to you that much in PvP if you did use it there, but probably Quick Draw and Thresh or Wellspring would be fine for PvP, paired together with proximity nades, and you've got a pretty rock solid PvP grenade launcher right there. I probably want to use the Tarnation in PvE though, because it has some very fun looking perks, including the very enjoyable Chain Reaction. Chain Reaction, literally always a fun option in PvE on power weapons. Just fire one rocket or grenade or whatever into a crowd of enemies, and you already get a boom, but then the bodies go flying and you get additional boom and you make the room go boom, and it's really, really fun. I wouldn't be too mad if I got a Tarnation with the One for All perk on it. I think that would also be quite enjoyable because it's relatively easy to knock out a couple low-level enemies together with one grenade, and then bam, you know, you've activated the One for All extra damage criteria, and then you can just kind of unload onto a target. For column 3, if we're looking for PvE, I would say Field Prep would be great. I think a lot of people, I was looking at light.gg, people were rating the perk Field Prep low, which I was surprised by. More ammo and much quicker reloading when crouched. I think it's a great perk for PvE. Quick Draw can't go wrong. Clown Cartridge, of course, very good. Being able to overflow the magazine is terrific. Pulse Monitor would also be okay. Anything that can help you reload when you're not thinking about it is great. And of course, if you're looking for a PvE grenade launcher, don't forget about Spike Grenades over in column 2. That will help get a little bit more damage on the field. All right, next up, all the following weapons you can get from the seasonal activity chests, or you can get from rank ups or focused umbral engrams. All the following 6 weapons will fall under that umbrella. I should also mention that all 6 weapons from the seasonal activity and rank ups and focused umbral engrams, they are all craftable. So if you would like to craft any of the following 6 weapons, unlock the pattern and then feel free. And starting off, I'm going to give you a piece of my mind with the Peace of Mind. That was a horrible joke. Kinetic Pulse Rifle. Peace of Mind is a rapid fire frame pulse rifle, which normally I'm not very keen on in PvP, but I do think that this weapon has a fair amount of potential. It's got a small perk pool, but a lot of perks in that pool are actually quite good. Looking at column 4, I would be happy with any of these perks in PvP. You've got Moving Target, Elemental Capacitor, you've got the brand new Focused Fury, more on that in a minute. You've got Adrenaline Junkie, you've got Vorpal Weapon, and you've got Harmony. Again, any of those perks I would be happy with. In column 3, we've got a couple good options here. I'm looking at Overflow, I'm looking at Perpetual Motion, I'm looking at Heating Up. All 3 of those perks would look pretty solid on a pulse rifle in PvP, especially the combination of Overflow and Focused Fury. Focused Fury giving the extra damage output, and Overflow preventing the deactivation of that extra damage, which remember will go away from Focused Fury if you stow the weapon or if you reload it. Overflow can help you circumvent that negative aspect of Focused Fury. And I actually checked on Twitter. My very good friend, Cool Man, has acquired a role with Overflow and Focused Fury, and my suspicions are confirmed. He looks like he's popping off with it in PvP. Really would like to try out that role, but I would also be happy with Perpetual Motion. I would be happy with Heating Up. Final thing to mention on the Peace of Mind pulse rifle, I haven't done any testing yet, but the Origin trait Land Tank, where you get a buffed up Resil after getting a kill. I hope that does work in PvP. It sounds like a lot of fun. It comes default on every Peace of Mind rifle, so it just really seems like icing on the top of a very interesting cake. So if you're looking for a rapid fire frame pulse rifle, I do believe that Chris Proctor from Bungie mentioned that in the future they would be looking at rapid fire frame pulse rifles to be tweaked. So maybe grab a good roll right now and you will be set for later. Okay, next weapon up on the table, again from either the seasonal activity, or you can get it from activity chests, or you can do activity rank ups. Focused umbral engrams would be the Thoughtless Sniper Rifle. If you enjoyed the Adored Sniper Rifle in the past or anything similar there, you might enjoy the Thoughtless. It has a 46 zoom factor, which I believe is one more than the Adored sniper rifle. So about the same zoom and a couple of interesting perks overall. I'm not sure whether I would be more keen on PvE or PvP with this sniper rifle. Now you could do either or. I mean, because we have Snapshot in column 4. Again, always a great perk to have on a sniper rifle in PvP. You've got Perpetual Motion in column 3. You've got Firmly Planted in column 3. So if you wanted to slide into a lane to activate Firmly Planted with Slide Shot, that could work. You've got Overflow. There's some interesting options here. Good perks for PvE too, though. We have Firing Line and Overflow right there. That would be a great combination. We've got Adagio, which I think is really interesting. And we also have Headstone. Headstone would be good for either PvE or PvP, depending on what your build is and what you're trying to do with a build. If you play a lot of Stasis and you have a build that, you'll get a benefit from being near or breaking a glacier, Headstone would be terrific. You can get the combination of Overflow, Focused Fury, but I don't know if that would be as good or fun on a sniper rifle as it would be on something like the Peace of Mind pulse rifle. Again, the weapon does come with the Land Tank Origin trait, which is pretty cool. Interesting perks overall. I don't know if I'm super hyped about this sniper rifle, but I'm sure eventually I will probably try to track one down. Moving right along for weapons that you can get via the seasonal activity, we have the Sweet Sorrow auto rifle, which is a 720 RPM, aka a rapid fire auto rifle, and it is an arc energy weapon. I am not tremendously keen on rapid fire auto rifles in particular. I think if we ever get back into a rapid fire auto rifle meta, this will probably slap fairly hard. It does have good perks for both PvE and PvP. If you're looking for one to bring into PvP, without question, I would be looking for Tap the Trigger in column 4. That paired together with Killing Wind or Perpetual Motion in column 3 would probably make for a really reliable primary weapon if we were to find ourselves in an auto rifle meta. For the PvE side of the Sweet Sorrow rifle, we have pretty good perks actually. We have Auto Loading Holster in column 3, we have Tap the Trigger in column 3, and we have either Vorpal Weapon, Focused Fury, or One for All in column 4. I think that Tap the Trigger and One for All, or Tap the Trigger and Focused Fury, would be the most free damage because, again, Vorpal will only proc when you are fighting a boss enemy or what have you. Meanwhile, One for All or Focused Fury can be procced relatively easily. Okay, why don't we move on? Again, we are still on seasonal activity weapons right now. And the next one on the list to talk about is the Under Your Skin Void Bow. I did mention earlier that I'm not really keen on bows that aren't an exotic bow. Legendary bows have a lot of competition. But that being said, I think the roll potential on the Under Your Skin is really interesting. First of all, you have the option to maybe get a roll with both Tunnel Vision and Opening Shot, which sounds just like a lot of aim assist to have on a bow. Like, I feel like it would be very difficult to miss a shot with both of those perks active. Furthermore, you can also get both Archer's Tempo and you can get Successful Warm Up together. Apparently my friend Kujay had the same thought because he tweeted out his roll of that bow that he crafted with the enhanced versions of those perks, and it fires really, really quickly. He's just shooting into the old dungeon loot cave entrance there at just a ridiculous speed for a bow. So I think that is pretty goddamn interesting. I would be very intrigued to take a roll like that into PvP. You could also do Hipfire Grip Opening Shot if you wanted something more fun for PvE. You could do Explosive Head, or you could do Adaptive Munitions, again, the new perk, which allows you to deal more damage to an enemy shield not matching your current elemental type. Because bows are very good in PvE, I would think that an Adaptive Munitions bow would do pretty well. Might be one of the only bows I'm looking forward to getting, one of the only non-exotic bows I'm looking forward to getting and eventually crafting my own version of. 2 more weapons under the seasonal activity umbrella, and the next one to talk about is the Explosive Personality Wave Frame Grenade Launcher. Wave Frame Grenade Launchers in PvP can be kind of tricky. You have to really be big brain about hitting people reliably reliably and consistently in PvP with a Waveframe grenade launcher. Whereas in PvE, they are stupid, dummy easy to use. I am big on them. And the fact that I immediately checked to see if this explosive personality could roll with auto loading holster, and it can, thank God. So if you're looking for a PvE Waveframe launcher, I would say fairly mandatory for column 3, you are looking for auto loading holster. That's going to allow you to fire off a shot on the ground and then change to a primary weapon, do whatever you want, wait just a few seconds for the grenade to auto reload itself, swap back to the Waveframe launcher, fire another big shot on the ground, line it up, make sure you're killing a ton of low-level red trash enemies. It's a great time. You can roll Disruption Break in column 4 or Frenzy or even One for All. I think all of those would be fine. Golden Tricorn is there. That's not really a perk. I think when Golden Tricorn came out, a lot of people thought it had huge potential. I just think that the activation criteria is too strict. Golden Tricorn really just mainly annoys me. I would rather have Disruption Break or Frenzy or One for All. But yeah, if you're a new player and you do not have a good, reliable Waveframe grenade launcher, go get the Explosive Personality. I strongly recommend that you eventually craft one with auto loading holster and whatever perk you want in column 4. It'll be a really easy, really good time. Okay, final weapon that you can get under the seasonal activity umbrella is the Recurrent Impact Machine Gun, which is a stasis machine gun of the rapid fire frame family. Unfortunately, at the moment, I think that machine guns in D2 have a lot of competition in both PvP and in PvE. I think if you wanted to take it into PvP, there are things that you could make work for sure. It does come with Headstone, which is great. Again, I've mentioned earlier, for PvE or for PvP, if you are making a stasis build and you can get a benefit from either being near a crystal or breaking a crystal or whatever, yeah, Headstone's going to be great. And this machine gun will be something you'll want to add to your loadout for sure. Outside of that, you've got more interesting perk combinations. You've got Firing Line for PvE, pairs very well together with Field Prep, also Subsistence. Those are pretty good. You've got One for All, which another great damage dealing perk for PvE. Same story with Frenzy. You also have the brand new Focused Fury. So yet another weapon to look for the fabled pairing of Subsistence and Focused Fury together. I really look forward to getting a roll like that. Thank God I can just craft one if I want to. Overall, yeah, even though it looks like a fun weapon with some interesting perk combinations, I do think that machine guns have a lot of competition. But if it's what you're looking for, then go grind out the seasonal activity and get one for yourself. Okay, now we can move on to Throne World weapons. All 5 of these weapons are craftable, and you can get them all from the Throne World, aka from Finch rank ups or the Deep Sight chest farm. If you don't know what farm I'm talking about, check my YouTube channel from a couple days ago. The Finch rank up farm when you're level 15 with Finch, and you can do the Deep Sight chest farm. You can get a bunch of these Throne World weapons by doing that particular farm. Starting with the Forensic Nightmare, which is a kinetic SMG and also a stasis SMG. Pretty much if you dig the Shire's Wrath, which I do very, very much, but you're looking for maybe a different version, a kinetic version of the Shire's Wrath, kind of, you can take a look at the Forensic Nightmare. It has the ability to roll with Headstone in column 4. We've already mentioned a couple times right now in the video that if you have a stasis build, you can absolutely try and grind out a Nightmare with Headstone. That would probably do nothing but benefit your build to a big degree. You've also got other classics here for PvP. You've got Swashbuckler, you've got Harmony, you've got Kill Clip, all in column 4. You've got Under Pressure, you've got Heating Up, and Perpetual Motion and Slideways, all of those in column 3. For me, I would probably go with either Perpetual Motion or Under Pressure. Those are always kind of working for you. If you wanted something fun to pair together with Kill Clip, Heating Up Kill Clip is a great combination, really enjoyable. I don't think I'm going to go farm for a Forensic Nightmare right now, just because I have such a goddamned love affair with my Shire's Wrath. But in the future, if I wanted to make a fun stasis build that I thought would benefit from being paired together with a Headstone perk, I would probably immediately go for the Forensic Nightmare. Next up, we have the Empirical Evidence, which is is a kinetic sidearm, a 2-burst, by the way, sidearm, which I don't think we've had one of those in a while, where every time you pull the trigger, it will fire 2 bullets in a row. Pew pew. Little, kind of like a pulse rifle, but not really. Again, you get this weapon from the Throne World, so either ranking up with Finch or the Deepside Chest Throne Farm. Right now, I'm not really interested in chasing down an empirical evidence. I'm not super down with the sidearm meta. I'm not sure Vanguard. But if you're into the sidearm meta, try and pick one up. You've got both high cal rounds and ricochet, which is really solid for a sidearm. You've got perks like tunnel vision. You've got perpetual motion, which are really easy to activate. You can get both Adagio and Harmony on this weapon, which are both very interesting. Same thing with Swashbuckler. I think if you're going to go into PvP, you would want one of those 3 perks probably for PvP. I'm very interested in particular for Adagio. I know it would slow down the rate of fire, but just being able to punch people harder with the Adagio does seem interesting. I think when I eventually decide to craft my own version of that weapon, I'll probably either go with Harmony or Adagio for sure. Next up in the Throne World weapon category, we've got the Likely Suspect Fusion Rifle, an Energy Void Fusion Rifle. And I know that we're no longer, quote, in a fusion rifle meta because we've lost particle deconstruction on the artifact. I still am interested in getting a God Roll Likely Suspect and bringing it into PvP. You can use it in PvE if you want. It does have access to Adagio and One for All, which I'm sure would do fine in PvE, but I'm definitely more interested in Firmly Planted in column 3. You could also go with Heating Up. I'm definitely more interested in Firmly Planted though. You can also get Successful Warm-Up, which seems like kind of a dangerous perk to put on a fusion rifle, but again, I am intrigued. I think the combination of Firmly Planted and Successful Warm-Up together is going to be really brutal in PvP. The Firmly Planted giving you that better stability and accuracy overall, and Successful Warm-Up, you'll be able to shoot the weapon faster after you get a kill, and it's already a rapid fire frame, so theoretically with the right roll, you could just be killing people very quickly in PvP with a Likely Suspect, a big kind of snowball roll, and it's got a 50 recoil direction, meaning all you got to do is put a counterbalance mod on it, bop it right up to 65 on the nose, looking pretty good to me. I haven't crafted one yet, but when I get into my PvP grind, which will probably happen after I do the raid and put out a raid guide. But yeah, this one is going to be way up there in terms of PvP weapons I would like to craft nearly immediately. Next up, still in the Throne World weapon category, we have the Pointed Inquiry Scout Rifle, Void Energy Scout Rifle. And I'm pretty much only going to ever think about using the Pointed Inquiry in PvE. Not really big on Scout Rifles in PvP, not named the DMT. And I think most of the weapon perks that we see right here it's clearly a weapon designed for PvE. You've got Genesis in column 3, you've got 4th times the charm, you've got the brand new adaptive munitions, you've got demo, you've got Dragonfly, Turnabout, Focused Fury, and you've got Harmony. I think out of all the roles I'm looking for, I'm probably looking forward to the most 4th times the charm and adaptive munitions together. I would also be happy to do Genesis paired with adaptive munitions. I think that would be an interesting combo for PvE, a very reliable, maybe jack of all trades type of PvE weapon. I think if you wanted to go with Focused Fury, that would pair very well together with 4th times the charm. Harmony in the mix too for just easy damage depending on what you have paired together with your scout rifle. Again, I think it's a fine weapon. I don't think I'm ever going to bring it into PvP, but for PvE, if you're looking for a reliable weapon, for sure, go craft a Pointed Inquiry. All right, final weapon under the Throne World umbrella is going to be the Red Herring Void Rocket Launcher. And right away, because this is a craftable weapon, I immediately went to go check if you can craft one with auto-loading holster. You cannot. Damn you, Bungie. They knew exactly what we wanted. I think they knew if they gave us the ability to craft an auto-loading rocket launcher that we would just immediately do that. So even still, I think it'll be a great rocket launcher for PvE. There's a lot of good perks here that you can take advantage of. In column 3, you've got Field Prep, you've got Ambitious Assassin, you've got Quick Draw, you've got Tracking, you've got Ensemble, and in column 4, you've got Lasting Impression, and you've got Frenzy, or maybe even Adrenaline Junkie. I think most people prefer Lasting Impression. It's a very easy perk to take advantage of. Good extra damage. Works really well in PvE on rocket launchers. Kind of like a go-to damage perk. Considering we don't have auto-loading, again, God, what a bummer. I would think that Field Prep would probably be, for me, the ideal pairing. Although, again, I would have a good time with Ensemble, just because if you're near teammates, you get that quicker reload speed. Anything that you can do to really kind of alleviate the pain of needing to repeatedly reload your rocket launcher. Also be sure to pick up Impact Casing in column 2. You get like a little bit of extra damage output on your rocket launcher, and especially if you're going to craft a red herring, pretty much no reason to not craft one without Impact Casing. Alrighty, next category of weapons we have is World Drop. So all of these weapons are World Drop weapons. You get them out in the world of D2, just playing the game. And the first one that we are going to cover today is the Percy's D Scout Rifle, a kinetic stasis scout rifle. I gotta tell you, looking at the Percy's D, really the only thing that is kind of maybe getting me excited about the roll is Headstone, which again, if you're a fan of weapons that pair well with a stasis build, then you are probably going to like the Percy's D. Outside of that, I am not really looking forward to it. You can get one to drop with explosive payload, which does really well in PvE, but I already have the Curated Night Watch, which I love with all of my heart and soul, and you can get the Curated Night Watch too. It is very easy to get. We actually made a video on that a while ago. So go get one if you don't have one. And for the most part, yeah, just a scout rifle that, I don't know, I just don't really care about that much. It has okay perks though. You've got One for All, extra damage. You've got Focused Fury. You've got Vorpal Weapon. Not a bad scout rifle. I'm just not really wowed by PvE scout rifles right now. But if you are, or if you're looking for a new stasis kinetic scout rifle, maybe with Headstone or something else, go try and track down a Percy's D. Here's one that I actually am excited about though, the Crate Auto Rifle. The Crate Auto Rifle is looking pretty neato on paper, mainly because of its origin trait. Take a look at that over there. Viced Stinger. Damaging an enemy with this weapon has a small chance to reload the mag and increase movement speed while aiming down sights. I've already seen some clips on Twitter, on YouTube of people using the Crate with the Viced Stinger origin trait paired together with a weapon perk like Subsistence and Focused Fury to do a lot of nice damage, and you're just reloading the gun constantly. Viced Stinger could reload your weapon. Subsistence will reload your weapon if you get a kill. People just kind of really shelling out bullets like a goddamn fire hose. It's really interesting to see. I think I would be most interested in either Overflow or Subsistence in column 3 and Focused Fury or One for All in column 4. Maybe even Adagio in column 4. Something that is going to help me get more damage, and pairing that together with something in column 3 that is going to help me need to not reload my Crate Auto Rifle. Again, I want to mention that is all for PvE. I don't want to bring the Crate into PvP, unless, even with Headstone and I had a stasis, I would probably rather bring a different weapon like an Ias Luna or something. I don't think that the Crate was built for PvP. Definitely built for PvE though, and a lot of really neat options there. So if you get a good Crate, especially one with Subsistence or Overflow and Focused Fury, definitely be sure to let me know on Twitter because I want that gun. Alrighty, next in the world pool is the Syncopation 53, a kinetic stasis pulse rifle. A lot of stasis weapons out here in Witch Queen. Now, normally an adaptive frame pulse rifle, I would kind of be all who cares about bringing into PvP, but because this is a Suros weapon, it comes with the Suros Synergy basic origin trait, which I am excited about using in PvP. Anything to get more handling and anything to reduce the amount of incoming flinch is really going to be big in my book. So I definitely think I want to try out the Syncopation in PvP. Perk-wise, not a ton. We've got Moving Target in column 3. That, out of everything that I'm looking at here, probably would be what I'm looking for the most. You do have Zen Moment, which a lot of people still talk about, but remember that Zen Moment does not actually improve your stability, even though the perk says that it does. Really what it actually does is reduce camera flinch and reticle bounce. So not really a perk that I would like to spend. I would much rather have something like Moving Target. In column 4, you can take your pick of Rangefinder, Headstone, Headseeker, which is, I really only like Headseeker on very high impact frame pulse rifles. I don't really like it on weaker pulse rifles. I would say either a headstone if you are a stasis build, and outside of that, just go with rangefinder. Just go with moving target rangefinder. You could do outlaw rangefinder too, but yeah, that's kind of all I would be looking for to bring into PvP with this particular pulse rifle. Next up in the world pool, we have the Ragnhild D, and don't tell me to not roll my R. I'll roll my Ragnhild DR however much I want. I have had a ton of people reach out to me on Twitch and Twitter about this shotgun. And yes, I hate shotguns, but I am interested in crafting and using the Ragnhild D. If you're wondering why, just go ahead and take a look at the zoom factor 16. If you didn't know this, weapons with extra zoom usually perform much better in PvP. Think back to the Drang sidearm. Think back to Shire's Wrath. Think back to the Multimach SMG. There's a reason that the Multimach and the Shira feel way better in PvP than every other SMG out there. And part of that is due to the fact that they have great base stats and great perks, but the other part is due to the fact that they simply have more zoom than other weapons that you could equip for PvP. Comparing the Ragnhild to other shotguns in the game, the Ragnhild clearly has a higher zoom, and I've already been hearing from people that this is translating to a much more generous one-hit kill range in PvP, which again, I definitely believe. So if you're looking at the Ragnhild and you're looking at the perks and thinking, these perks aren't really doing it for me, you know, dual loader, subsistence, auto loading, holster, all that. It looks like a PvE shotgun. Yeah, the perks do look like they kind of would work for PvE, but I really want the Ragnhild for PvP, literally because of that extra zoom on the gun. I would recommend looking for one with either steady hands or perpetual motion in column 3, and probably elemental capacitor, thresh, demolitionist, or adrenaline junkie in column 4. If you are an arc player or if you are a stasis player, I would say 100% you want elemental capacitor. Especially if you are an arc main in PvP. That extra handling from elemental capacitor is huge. When we eventually get to the point in D2 where they release Arc 3.0, the usage of the Ragnhild D with elemental capacitor is going to go way, way up. Just the extra handling is going to be huge if you play Arc in PvP. Ragnhild is right up there next to the likely suspect on list of weapons that I would like to craft for PvP almost right away. Moving right down the line in the world drop weapon category, we have the Snorri FR5, which is a void energy fusion rifle. Now, Snorri has that new base origin trait, which is Omolon Fluid Dynamics, increased reload speed and stability for the top half of the magazine. Not ideal. When you go into PvP, in order to take advantage of that basic origin trait, you would need to get to at least 4 in the magazine. 4, 5, and 6 is where that trait would kick in. Anything below, so 3, 2, or 1 left in the mag, would result in that not working, which is kind of lame because the basic origin trait sounds really good. I guess if it were active all the time in the bottom half of the magazine, it would essentially be a free version of Under Pressure, which sounds kind of busted if you were going to put that on every Snorri for free. You've got Frenzy, and you've got High Impact Reserves, and you've got Reservoir Burst, and One for All, actually, if you're looking for a PvE fusion rifle. But again, because we are no longer in the particle deconstruction meta of PvE, I am more interested in taking the Snorri into PvP. So I'm going to be looking for a drop with firmly planted and successful warm-up, and that's pretty much it. Some people out there might go to bat for sure for heating up. I know True Vanguard is a fan of heating up, but I really strongly believe that firmly planted is 100% the play for category 3 if you're going into PvP. The play to me for sure is firmly planted, column 3, successful warm-up, column 4, and there you go. Don't have to think about it. That'll do great in PvP. I don't even need to test it. I just know that it will. Still in the Whirlpool category, we come to the Kantata legendary hand cannon, an arc hand cannon. And I have to give a shout out to my boy Drew, Drewski on YouTube. Please check him out. He is going to bat hard for the Cantata. We're only about a week into Witch Queen as of the recording of today's video, and Drew has already talked to me about how he feels that the Cantata is the hands down best hand cannon in D2 right now. Not an exaggeration, not YouTube clickbait. Drew rarely will put out a video saying, oh, this is unbelievably broken and cracked, dude. Oh my God, on just a mediocre weapon for clicks. Drew really does feel that the Cantata, legit, is currently the best hand cannon in D2 PvP. I just got a good roll today. I've been using mine in PvP, and I have to agree that it is really good. I don't think I have the quote definitive god roll yet, but right now it does slap really hard. It does have really good perks, but it also has the Suros Synergy basic origin trait, which I've already mentioned, is going to be disgustingly good for any weapon that you want to bring into PvP. More weapon handling and reduced incoming flinch. Every perk that you're looking at here for the Cantata would do very well. Most of them would do very well in PvP. You've got Eye of the Storm, you've got Rapid Hit, Heating Up, you've got Steady Hands, you've got Moving Target, Opening Shot, Vorpal Weapon, Timed Payload, and Rangefinder. Those are all really good weapon perks that are going to succeed immediately in PvP. It's going to be really hard for me to narrow down what I'm looking for the most. I have to say that maybe Eye of the Storm and Opening Shot or Rangefinder. But then again, I'd be happy with Moving Target. I would be happy with Timed Payload and Rapid Hit or Heating Up. Timed Payload for that extra flinch factor. But yeah, there's so many good options here. Really, if you just get a high range roll on the Cantata with any of those perks I've mentioned in column 3 or 4, you are sitting on a very good hand cannon for PvP right at the gate. Kind of a huge shame that you can't craft a Cantata. You kind of have to farm world drops until you get one that you're happy with. But if you get a god roll, you are in for a really good time in PvP. Next up, we have the Ogma PR6 Solar Pulse Rifle. Now, I'm kind of looking forward to this one for PvE. It's not often that I want to bring a legendary pulse rifle into PvE, but right away, if you might notice, this has the potential to drop both adaptive munitions in column 3 and disruption break in column 4. So not only do you get a damage buff on enemy shields who don't match your solar energy of the weapon, but when you break that shield, you get to immediately trigger disruption break. So you have a weapon that is better on all types of shields, and you can break those shields for an extra incoming damage buff or any kinetic weapon that you might have. That to me sounds like a rock solid pairing. I mean, you also have One for All in column 4, a perk that again, I love for PvE. You have Dragonfly, you've got Wellspring, you've got Adrenaline Junkie. I think that the Ogma was built for PvE. And again, even though there's a bunch of perks I would be happy with, I think I am most looking forward to the combination of adaptive munitions and disruption break. Okay, next up we have the Fugu 55 sniper rifle, a void energy sniper rifle. If you're looking for a PvP sniper in the world pool, I think that you've found it right here with the Fugu. Gonna put it out there right away though. A lot of people are going to be turned off by the 50 zoom factor on the Fugu. Again, the adored, all kind of snipers in that area hover around 45, so 50 zoom for a lot of people might be too much. But I think if you can get past the 50 zoom, or if you can get used to it, this will be a pretty good sniper for PvP. Not only do you have good perks, including Snapshot in column 4 and No Distractions in column 3, you also have the Suros Synergy basic origin trait, meaning that in theory, you just reload this gun and then for a brief amount of time, you have reduced incoming flinch on your PvP sniper rifle, which I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds pretty goddamn good. If you're looking for a PvE role, it's got that too, because you've got 4th times the charm and you've got firing line and Vorpal weapon, both in column 4. You've also got auto-loading holster in column 3. I think any combination of auto-loading or probably 4th times the charm paired together with firing line or Vorpal, great sniper drop for PvE right there. All right, next up we have the Funnel Web, which is a void energy SMG, and a bunch of people are already saying that Funnel Web is essentially the Recluse 2.0. Gotta tell you right now, I think the hype is real, and I am looking for a god roll Funnel Web as of the recording of today's video that I want to bring into the day 1 raid. There's a lot of good perk combinations that are gonna work for PvE. You've got the brand new Focused Fury, especially when combined together with Subsistence, but I think the role that 99% of people are looking for is Subsistence paired together with Frenzy. Right there, you're gonna have a cracked perfect role to bring into PvE. With Subsistence, you're going to have the auto loading factor kicking in every time you get a kill, and with the basic origin trait, which we've gone over before, Viced Stinger, you're going to randomly get a chance to completely reload your magazine when just damaging an enemy. And with the extra 15% damage buff given by Frenzy, you're just going to be carving through people left and right with the funnel web. Icing on the cake, again, I mentioned that it is a void weapon, meaning that it is going to pair extra well with any Void 3.0 build, especially if you're trying to rock volatile rounds or something of that degree. Check your vault, go out there and open a bunch of world chests because the funnel web is cracked and you should try to get a good roll right now. Alrighty, next up we have the Typhon GL5 grenade launcher, a power weapon grenade launcher with stasis. A lot of interesting perk combinations here, including the brand new perk Chill Clip. If that is appealing to you for any reason with your stasis build, you can definitely check that out. But I think most people for the PvE department in particular are going to be looking for Explosive Light. You get more damage with your grenade launcher for every orb of power that you pick up. And usually for PvE, it's not too difficult to get your hands on a bunch of orbs of power very quickly. I know some people out there might say it would be boring to go right away for the Explosive Light pick, but fuck it. It's a really good perk for a reason. I mean, you have One for All out there, you've got Frenzy out there. Both of those would be great for a kind of trash clearing type deal, but I think for most people who want a grenade launcher to do a lot of damage to a particular big bad enemy, Explosive Light would do terrific. Column 3 is kind of I would be really thrilled if we had auto-loading holster out here somewhere, but we don't. So I don't know, you could go for Genesis, you could go for Unrelenting, Demolitionist, anything would be fine really. I think the more important perk on the Typhon GL5 would be whatever you're trying to go for in column 4. Next up in the Whirlpool weapon category, we've got the Palmyra B rocket launcher. And if you predicted that a rocket launcher that we didn't have the ability to craft could potentially drop with Lasting Impression and auto-loading holster, congratulations, you get a gold star. You cannot craft the Palmyra B, and of course, because you cannot craft it, it is going to drop with incredibly cracked perks, including Lasting Impression, auto-loading holster, and impact casing, which is pretty much the role that I think 99% of people are going to go for. You've got other options for sure for PvE. You've got Frenzy for that extra 15% damage. You've got Explosive Light for that extra, I think, 25% damage at max power. And you've even gotten Chain Reaction, which is nice if you're trying to really clear a room with a lot of chain explosion type deals. But again, I think me and most other people out there are trying to get the auto-loading Lasting Impression roll. You go for whatever you want, but immediately that is what I locked onto, and that is what I would like to go for. Final weapon in the world drop pool is the Redback sidearm, and I know I'm probably going to get an angry letter from True Vanguard. I kind of don't care about the Redback 5SI sidearm. I just don't. It does have that really cool Viced Stinger basic origin trait that we've talked about. You can pair that together with the Subsistence and even Vorpal Weapon or Rampage or One for All or even Surrounded. There are good rolls with it for sure, but none that are super leaping out to me or appeal to me very much. I'm sure you'll see clips on Twitter of True Vanguard or whoever popping off in PvP with the right role, maybe a max range roll with opening shot or a killing wind or perpetual motion or what have you. But yeah, for PvE especially, I don't think I want to use a sidearm. And for PvP, I don't know, man, I would probably just much rather use a shotgun. But if you're a sidearm user, I don't want to harsh your vibe. I don't want to pee in the lemonade bowl, you know? So you do you, buddy. You go for your favorite sidearm roll and you get out there and mix it up with the best of them. The next two weapons that we're going to cover are both under the Iron Banner umbrella. And the first one is the Frontier's Cry, a solar energy hand cannon. And I've got really bad news for you. If you were hoping that the new Iron Banner hand cannon was not going to be a 180 RPM hand cannon, it is a 180 RPM hand cannon. I was bummed about that. I'm sure many of you will be bummed about that. One of the benefits of the new Iron Banner weapons is that they come with the Skulking Wolf origin trait, which is actually really cool during a hunt of Iron Banner, i.e. when you have all territories captured. Final blows with this weapon will give you enhanced radar and remove you from the enemy team's radar. That is a really cool perk that I think will do huge in Iron Banner. Perk-wise, we're looking at a lot of great stuff on the hand cannon. I'm just so unbelievably bummed that it is a 180 RPM. you've got tunnel vision, you've got rapid hit, you've got kill clip, you've got Eye of the Storm, you've got Iron Reach. You've got a bunch of really cool perks on a hand cannon that I think would turn it into a really stellar gun if it was not a 180 RPM hand cannon. Some people might be on the lookout for Adagio. I am not one of those people. I think if you just want to have a harder hitting, slower firing hand cannon, just go with a 140 RPM hand cannon. I just think it's kind of a waste on a 180 RPM hand cannon. But you do you. You have adaptive munitions if you want to bring that sucker into PvE. I think for the most part, rapid hit and kill clip would be a pretty safe PvP weapon pairing for the Frontier's Cry. Again, I'm just not super big on chasing one down because 180 RPM hand cannon. Okay, next up, the other new weapon that you can only get from playing Iron Banner is the Razor's Edge, which also happens to be the name of my favorite episode of SWAT Cats. And if you know what that is, I don't know whether to high-five you or bully you. Razor's Edge is a void sword, which looks kind of badass. And it does have good perks on it, which if you're interested in PvE, I think you have a lot to work with here. I think you have Frenzy, which is just cracked in PvE, likewise for One for All. I think most people, though, are going to go for Chain Reaction, just for the sheer meme factor. I think this might be the first sword of the Vortex frame family, not the caster frame, but the Vortex frame, capable of dropping with the Chain Reaction perk. And I gotta be honest, I am interested to see how that goes in PvE. Run into a room, start spinning around. Anyone who you hit with your spin attack will just explode, clear the room out quicker. It seems like a really fun build. Again, if you want a more traditional PvE sword, I'm sure One for All or Frenzy would be great. If you want to troll people with this sword and Iron Banner, you definitely can because of the Skulking Wolf perk that we've already talked about on the hand cannon. But for the most part, I think more people will be using this sword in PvE. All right, next weapon category is Trials weapons, which unfortunately there is only one new Trials weapon this season. That would be the Aisha's Embrace, a void energy scout rifle. Now, even though you get this weapon from playing PvP, I'm actually kind of more interested in bringing it into PvE, which is kind of weird, especially for a Trials weapon. The unique basic origin trait Alacrity gives you better reload, stability, aim assist, and range when you are the last living member of a fire team, or if you're playing solo. I know there's not a ton of people out there who solo D2 PvE content, but I frequently do. And I'm looking forward actually to kind of getting a roll on this weapon and bringing it into solo endgame PvE content and maybe getting a better overall weapon performance. Not to mention that the weapon has some really good perks, including triple tap and 4th times the charm, which you can get together. Very unique, very rare weapon roll. TLDR, you can just shoot forever and ever, and as long as you get headshots, I mean, eventually you will have to reload, but you can shoot for a very long time with triple tap and 4th times the charm together. If you're looking for a little bit of more ammo, but extra damage output, you could do triple tap and Vorpal weapon together. I think that would be a great PvE pairing, or you could do triple tap and Focused Fury together. Again, another great extra damage dealing combo in PvE. For PvP, yeah, I'm sure there is potential there for sure. You've got Perpetual Motion, you've got Tunnel Vision, you've got Adagio, you've got Multi-Kill Clip, Eye of the Storm. I think all of that would be fine. But again, for the most part, any scout rifle not named Dead Man's Tale or maybe Mida Multi-Tool, I'm not super interested in bringing into PvP right now. I think I'm really excited for Aisha in PvE, and that is kind of it. All right, next weapon in the Witch Queen that you get from the campaign and from learning how to craft is the Enigma, a legendary void energy glaive. If you're kind of late to the Witch Queen, or if you just haven't heard about it yet, glaives are really good in D2 right now. Very, very good, or very, very annoying, depending on your current take on glaives. You can kind of be a real nuisance in PvP if you want, but I think I might get shot if I talk about that too much. So why don't we talk about the glaive in PvE content, where it is very, very good, thanks in part to a couple of unique artifact mods on your current season artifact. The TLDR summary is that glaives can do a lot of things. They're very versatile. You can use them to suppress people, which is fantastic. You can use them at range. You can use them up close with a melee combo. They're very enjoyable. I've really enjoyed using mine. You can, in fact, solo the entire campaign on Legendary if you want with just a glaive. Many people have done it, It is not that difficult. There's a lot of perks that you could put on your glaive for PvE to make it perform really well, but I think really what I've heard the most about would be Impulse Amplifier and Frenzy together. Frenzy is probably just the easiest way to get a fantastic extra damage output modifier, and Impulse Amplifier makes the ranged portion of using a glaive much more user-friendly. Apparently the projectile will track noticeably quicker, so I think that when I eventually recraft my Enigma, I'm going to go for one with Frenzy and Impulse Amplifier together. All right, next category we have exotic weapons. Now I do want to tell you where you can get every exotic weapon in D2 the Witch Queen. If you don't want to watch anymore, if you want to not be spoiled for exotic weapons, I totally get it. Feel free to click away. But if you do want to know where to get them, I will gladly tell you. I can't really tell you what to look for on exotics though, for the most part, because they drop with curated set perks. First up, we have the Osteo Striga, the exotic kinetic SMG, which unfortunately you can only get right now if you have ordered the deluxe version of the Witch Queen. If you just paid for the standard, regular, basic bitch pumpkin spice latte version of the Witch Queen, sorry bro, you have to wait until season 17 in order to get your hands on the exotic SMG. If you got the deluxe edition, you can craft the Osteo Striga, but you have to first beat the campaign. When you've beaten the Witch Queen campaign, you can head down to the crafting area on Mars and you can craft an Osteo Striga. Next up, we have the Dead Messenger Grenade Launcher, which is a beautiful looking grenade launcher. It has the ability to attack enemies with all three different types of elements, arc, void, and solar, and just a fantastic weapon. Been having a lot of fun with it. The Dead Messenger is obtained through the Vox Obscura exotic quest, but before players can access that quest, they need to complete the first week of Operation Elbrius. That would be the weekly reset quest the players have access through throughout Season of the Risen. And once the first week is completed, you can then speak with Empress Keitel at the War Table in the Helm. Take note that the Vox Obscura quest can be kind of brutal if you're a low-ish power level. They recommend that you be at power level 1550. I think I did it when I was 20-ish light levels underneath, but it still might be a little bit of a rough time. Try to bring a fire team if you can. Next up, we have an exotic grenade launcher, the Parasite, more popularly known as the Worm Launcher grenade launcher. You can get this after you finish the main Witch Queen campaign. Head downstairs on Mars towards the weapon crafting area, and if you keep heading down, you will go to the bottom of a staircase, and there will be a worm sitting there on a table. You can activate that whole quest line. I did make an entire YouTube video on how to acquire the Parasite exotic grenade launcher, but really all you have to do is just follow that quest line. Next up, we have the Grand Overture exotic machine gun. It is a full automatic slug launcher, and if you paid money for the season pass, you can get this exotic right away, level 1 on the season pass. If you didn't drop money on it, you can still get the Grand Overture, but you have to wait until season pass level 35 before you can pick it up. Okay, next up we have 3 exotic weapons, which I'm going to combine into one entry. We have the Edge of Action, we have the Edge of Concurrence, and we have the Edge of Intent. Those would be the 3 exotic glaives that you can get in the Witch Queen. In order to get any of the exotic glaives, you need to first complete the exotic quest, Report Reverse Lure. Unfortunately, that quest is kind of locked away until you've completed all of the evidence board reports that you can find in the Enclave. Those evidence board reports can be kind of annoying because they involve Wellspring, but when you have all of those done, then you get the Reverse Lure quest and you finish that and you can get the exotic glaives. There is one more exotic that I could mention that I'm not going to. I'm going to just title this Raid Exotic. So in case someone is watching or listening on YouTube, if they are scrolling along in the timeline, because I'm going to bookmark this video, I don't want them to see the name of a gun and go, what gun is that? And then find out that I spoiled the Raid Exotic for them. But if you do want to know more about the Raid Exotic, I can maybe do a little spoiler information in a pinned comment down in the comments section, but I'm not going to mention the name here, only that there is a Raid Exotic. Finally, we come to our very last weapon category, which if you want to completely skip over due to spoilers, you can, although I have very little to spoil. That final category is going to be raid weapons, of which there are 6. As of the recording of today's video, there is no information on the raid weapons other than what they are and what category they fall under and how to get them, that being the raid. No information on Light.gg, no information on D2 Gunsmith. They have not yet been added to the game's API, So until they do, we don't really know anything about their weapon perks, what they bring to the table, or anything like that. If you're wondering how I even know what they are, well, you can go to triumphs in game and then patterns and catalysts, because all of the raid weapons are craftable. So really quickly, we have the Insidious Pulse Rifle, we have the Submission SMG, we have the Lubray's Ruin Glaive, the Forbearance Energy Grenade Launcher, the Cataclysmic Heavy Linear Fusion Rifle, and the Deliverance, the first legendary kinetic fusion rifle. More info on those weapons when the new raid drops on March 5th. Be sure to check out my Twitch channel, by the way, because I will be streaming the day 1 raid race on my Twitch channel. Hope to see you there. Click like on today's video if you enjoyed it and would like more, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.